Okay, so I thought I would talk about comping today. Comping is a very important thing in jazz piano playing. In fact, we spend time practicing soloing, playing melodies, working on chords and arrangements. But the fact is, when we play jazz piano in a group, 80% of the time, 70, 80% of the time, what we're going to be doing is comping. And it's funny that something that we spend the majority of our time doing, we actually never practice. And this is bad. We need to change that. I think a piano player practicing comping is as important as a drummer practicing keeping time. So in other words, you can practice comping without a soloist to comp for. How we comp is a matter of how we keep time. I mean, we need to have different devices for keeping time. And we have to be comfortable keeping time this way. You would never expect a drummer to not practice sitting in a room and playing time. And similarly, I think as a pianist, we should spend time, really a lot of time, practicing comping. So I wanted to talk about comping today and maybe some different approaches to comping that I find useful in my real life practice and performance. So I'm going to use the tune Solar, and I'm going to play along with a play-along. This play-along track, this is an app called Genius Jam Tracks. I suppose you could use iReal or a Jamie Aebersold. This is a cool app. You can customize the tempo. Anyways, this is my play-along for Solar, and I just wanted to talk about a few templates for comping. And the first one that I want to explain is maybe the most important. And this is, I'll just do it. I'll just do it first, and then I'll explain it. So here I'm going to do a couple choruses of Solar. So what was that? That was comping with one note. Now why is that important? You could comp that way sometimes when you're actually comping. That's valid, and maybe you should do it sometimes. But actually the reason this is important is because when you're comping, there's always a melody note that's guiding your comping. You don't want to think about voicings for C minor, voicings for G minor. The trouble with that is you're going to run out of options quickly. In other words, let's say I learned 10 voicings for C minor. That's great. That's great. But then after 10 choruses, you're going to run out of options. And also, if those 10 voicings don't fit with what's happening in the moment, then you're not really going to be able to contribute. But if a single note is guiding your comping, you have all the flexibility. You see how if you're playing a C minor scale, you could play any note, really. A couple other things to think about when you're doing this one-note comping. Think about note length. Think about rhythm. Also, you can do groups of notes this way. I'm going to do it again. And here's one more thing to look out for. Whenever I play a long note, I'm going to use the pedal. You'll see my finger here, but I'm actually using the pedal. That's going to help later. So let me do that one more time. So yeah, that's the guide for your comping. Another place where I used the pedal was if I played repeated notes. It's a little easier to play repeated notes and get that bounce if you have the pedal down. Now, of course, you might be thinking, okay, well, that's great to come up with single notes, but if I have to come up with chords for every one of those notes, isn't that somewhat of a challenge? And yeah, it is a challenge, but one really simple way to take what I just did and make chords out of it is in my left hand, I'm just going to play, you could do 3 and 7. Or in your left hand, you can do any of the standard voicings that we've learned. But in my right hand, I'll put the single note over it. See that? Now, this voicing is not limited to just this melody note, but it can be. So let me do that for a few courses. I'm going to do really actually just 3 and 7 or 3 and 6 in my left hand. And my right hand is going to do the same thing with just single notes. And watch how much variety you can get this way. See that? So there's so many possibilities with that simple template. Another thing you can do, I think this is a little bit harder even though it's fewer notes. You could harmonize just these single notes with another single note in your left hand. I think that's a little harder, but it's very effective and very strong, especially if the notes go in opposite directions. So if I'm playing this in my right hand, if I pick 2 C minor notes that are going up, it's a very effective way to comp with just 2 notes. So still, it's just the single note that's guiding the comping, but we're going to harmonize it with one single note instead of a left-hand chord. See that? Notice how I'm using the pedal again on all the long notes. That really helps. Okay, so that's a few things you can do using just a single note to guide your comping. A few other things I like to do